So here she goes with the hand-to-hand swing. Or she calls it the one-arm swing. That's actually not the right description. This would be a hand-to-hand swing. A one-arm swing is where you use one arm only for the whole set. One arm swinging for 40 seconds and not switching. Switching means hand-to-hand. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe stark here. Heather Robertson is a personal trainer and a coach, and she has a very large following on YouTube. This particular kettlebell workout garnered about 400,000 views, so let's see how she did it. If this is your first time on our YouTube channel, we're about all things kettlebell. We have been certified by accredited institutions and we work with people in real life. We have over 800 videos on our YouTube channel and it's a mixed bag of tutorials, workouts, reactions, and podcasts. I'm operating from a place of love. I want to serve you some value. I don't mean to attack Heather. I don't want to talk in a condescending manner. I just want to help you discover whether this workout is worth your time and even if there's proper form. So let's check out the workout. I like that she's starting with a warm-up. There's two ideas that you want to follow. The first thing is you want to mobilize the joints and create a steady motion to trigger some synovial fluid so that the joint gets lubricated. And the other thing is just a triggering where you get a feeling for the body, you get a feeling that the muscles are now supposed to engage. And another factor is that you want to prepare your mind for the workout. When you're coming from a tough day on the job, then the warm-up is just to set in the mood. Now she starts with a squat, curl, and a press. What I really like is her arm is fully extended. That's what beginners sometimes are having problems with, to fully extend their arm. I would grab the kettlebell differently, especially if it's a heavy one. And if it's a heavier one, maybe you may leave the curl out and do a thruster in and all by itself, because if you have a heavy weight, let's say like a 20 kilo for men or even 16 kilo for women, sometimes the curl is too heavy. That's a tough one for a lot of people. Keeping the kettlebell overhead and going down into a lunge or even in a squat. So what I would do differently is make sure that the kettlebell is in a nice hand insertion, that once the kettlebell is on top above my head, I don't feel my forearm and I can focus on the lunge and the leg work in and all by itself. So next is coming the deadlift and the upright row. The upright row is highly debated. Why am I saying this? If you lift your arms up like this, okay, you flex your shoulder, you bring your arm up like this, and then you internally rotate, I already feel it in my shoulder. There may be a chance for shoulder impingement. She is doing a deadlift, yes, but this is a Romanian deadlift where you hinge only. A traditional deadlift would be where you bend your knees a little bit. Now there is a slight difference. With the Romanian deadlift, you get a lot more hamstring activation, and with the traditional deadlift, a little bit more of your quads are involved as well. So don't misunderstand this as bad form. It's just a different technique or a different kind of a deadlift. So here she goes with the hand-to-hand swing. Or she calls it the one-arm swing. That's actually not the right description. This would be a hand-to-hand swing. A one-arm swing is where you use one arm only for the whole set. One arm swinging for 40 seconds and not switching. Switching means hand to hand. So from the start, this is something where I'm always key. I always get frustrated when I see this. When you start with a ballistic exercise, you want to have the kettlebell in front of you. We call it the triangle. So your feet form the bottom of the triangle and the kettlebell forms the top of the triangle. Now this is a very light weight. You can dangle this in front of you and start like this. However, as soon as it gets heavier, it's gonna be tricky. Now let's look at the form in slow motion. What I'm missing a little bit is a proper timing. So once the kettlebell drops, she is hinging too early. So if you hinge too early, hinging means you push your hips back too early. What this means is that your arms are not connecting to your body, which leaves, once you're down in the backswing phase, a lot of pressure on your lower back. So there's a great cue that we follow when it comes to the swing. We say, maximize the time the arm is connected to the body and minimize the time the arm is disconnected to the body. Now ninja hop and press. That's a sprawl, jumping into a sprawl and then coming back, and then grabbing the kettlebell and pressing it. Now I like the sprawling, okay? Going to the sprawl, jumping back. This can be tough. It's one part of the burpee actually. The part that I don't like is people do this So grabbing, and this is lightweight. Always imagine heavier weights, it's gonna be almost impossible to press the weight in front of you. Your center of mass is in the middle of your foot. So we draw a line down here, okay? The moment arm from this connection point to the middle of your foot. So what do you think? Which muscles have to work to stabilize the weight? Your delts, your shoulder muscles. And once you get tired, this can be difficult. So the next one is sumo and front raise. The combination of lightweight with different muscle groups, or different weight categories with different muscle groups. Now for the sumo, this might be too light, but you use lightweight to bring it overhead. I would stick with the exercise that you did before with the thruster, the squat, and the press, because when you press it, you have larger muscle groups who are able to help you to bring the kettlebell in the top fixation. Now this exercise, the high knee twister. It's always funny when we use these descriptions because we have to come up with descriptions, because this is not a regular kettlebell exercise. Doesn't mean that you cannot do it, but just because we can do it doesn't mean that we should do it. Now, why am I on the fence with this exercise? It doesn't provide enough stimulus, in my opinion. It's not most bang for your buck. If I'm doing this exercise with a 16 kilo, I'm gonna burn my biceps. You can still do it and have fun with it. However, those earlier exercises, I believe, provide more bang for your buck. Now here she goes. She calls this the one arm row. And I see what she does. She rolls the weight and then she comes up in the top position to relax the lower back. And that's actually, if we want to be very exact, this will be a row and a Romanian deadlift. And we actually did this exercise as well because it's so great. It's a row, and then once you go up from the Romanian deadlift into the standing position, upright position, this relaxes your lower back. Because if people stay in that rowing position, especially with her, she does only a hinge, no bent knees, then the lower back feels the brunt of the weight, and then sometimes we have to stop because the lower back gives out. The toe taps. This was an exercise that I have seen online. This is another one of these where I think, yeah, it's funny, it's cool, but you don't need a kettlebell for this. You know, you always have to imagine, I'm coming from that place where I'm saying and telling our clients, and even in our workouts, we do the most bang for your buck exercises. It's exercises that give you the most value for the time that you've decided to engage in a workout. So this is one of those where I think, well, it's funny, it's cute, but it's not something that I would do, or that I would say, well, you have to incorporate this in a workout. This is one of the most powerful exercises that you can do, and let me give some feedback on the form. Now, I will call this a power clean and press. Just some semantics, but I always like to keep it very exact when it comes to those powerful exercises. Because you have the kettlebell down and then you pull it up in the clean, you clean it and go into a press. Full body, powerful. When you clean the kettlebell up, this can be a little tricky. Because if you clean it up and you externally rotate your arm and then you try to rack it, the weight behind her pulls down and it slams on the forearm, which can be, or put your shoulder in a difficult position. What you would rather do is clean the weight and internally rotate your arm, because your internal rotators are your stronger muscles and the external rotators are weaker muscles. If you keep the kettlebell up here and it slams every time up here, you may do some damage in your shoulder. When she goes into the press, we talked about this, the limp wrist, have a nice hand insertion, go up in the top fixation, because she has a great arm extension. So if you have a great arm extension, you want to make sure that the kettlebell follows that line as well and doesn't put you in a difficult position. So what I like most is the 4-time method. This is such a powerful training method that you can use. You don't have to think about it and you just keep going. Now, when it comes to our technique, there's always a lot of learning potential involved, because as soon as you work with ballistics, you have an unpredictable element, and this needs a lot of time and practice. In some of her exercises, I would coin it differently. For example, I would say it is a power clean and press, it is a Romanian deadlift, it is a row and Romanian deadlift. Sometimes we are confused because this coach calls it like this, the other coach calls it like this, and this would maybe clear some confusion if you just use the perfect and the right description. When it comes to exercise selection, I would say that you could stick with those most bang for your buck exercises with the swing, with the clean and press, with the row, with the deadlift. And these other exercises are, like I mentioned, variety. Yes, and variety is for fun, but it's not necessary to have a good workout. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it, consider subscribing if you want to see more kettlebell content. And if you're looking for a kettlebell program that builds you up from a beginner to a slowly advanced trainee in the course of about 3 months, and you maybe want to combine it with some easy to follow nutrition coaching, because maybe you want to lose weight or you want to get in shape, then check out 90 Days of Kettlebells. You'll find the link in the description. 14-day free trial included.